Exposed, heartwarming love story of a young woman, her husband, 30 years older, defying judgment. In the small town where the horizon kissed the earth and golden fields swayed like waves, Emma's life was a picture of pastoral perfection. Days under the sun, afternoons with her father on the farm, and evenings filled with laughter. Yet colorfully etched beneath this seemingly idyllic life was an ache, a restless yearning that screamed for freedom and self-discovery. It was during one of those monotonous days, tinged with the scent of freshly baked pies, that Emma crossed paths with Jack. Jack was a warm-hearted war veteran, his deep-set eyes shimmering with untold stories. The first time they chatted, Emma felt drawn to him like a moth to a flame. His voice was a soothing melody, and each tale crafted from his past revealed a compassion she never realized she yearned for. Under the shelter of the old oak tree, they shared laughter and dreams, basking in the company of crickets singing their twilight serenade. Their bond blossomed like wildflowers, the kind that bravely pushed through the cracks in the pavement. But that same beauty soon became a target for the whispers and judgment of their tight-knit community. The streets hummed with gossip, and Emma's family, holding close the values instilled in her since childhood, struggled to embrace her unconventional choice. Her father's disdain weighed heavy, thickening every dinner served with silence, while neighbors whispered behind lace curtains, peering out like watchers on a wall. As summer transformed to fall, the reality of their relationship became a full-blown tempest. Jack was 30 years her senior, a fact not lost on anyone, especially her father, who believed in hard work and tradition. Still, Emma's heart thrived on the connection they shared. He understood her, the depth of her spirit, the restlessness she fought to quell. In him, she found a refuge like no other. Then came the dark cloud that threatened to consume her joy. Jack's health began to falter, a sudden crisis that left Emma paralyzed with fear. The time they shared, once painted with laughter, felt fleeting. As Jack faced an uphill battle, the townsfolk's whispers grew louder, turning to insidious judgment. Buckets of uncertainty weighed on her chest, the fear of losing him mixing painfully with the judgment cast by the very community she called home. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With every sunrise that cast its glow over the fields, her resolve grew stronger. Emma would no longer let the opinions of the town dictate her heart. She would stand proud, voice unwavering, at the next community meeting. As she prepared for that moment, the weight of love tangled with the fear of rejection, but deep down, a flicker of hope ignited within her. That night, as crickets chirped and stars illuminated the sky, Emma realized she was ready to fight not just for Jack, but for her right to love and define her own identity in a world that demanded conformity. As she stepped into the room filled with skeptical faces, her heart raced, each thump echoing the truth she was ready to proclaim. Would they hear her? Would love bridge the gap between their worlds? The air stood still, thick with tension, and the first word she uttered could change everything. Emma stood at the front of the community meeting, the smell of old wood and the murmur of cautious voices wrapping around her like a cloak. She could feel her heart pounding, a drum in her chest urging her to be brave. The faces before her were familiar, but somehow foreign now, their eyes filled with challenge and doubt. Taking a deep breath, she recalled how Jack looked at her, those deep-set, understanding eyes that had met hers countless times beneath the oak tree. Suddenly, she felt a surge of strength surge through her, grounding her as she prepared to speak. I know many of you don't understand my relationship with Jack, she started softly, her voice trembling but clear. A ripple of disapproval washed over the crowd, but Emma pressed onward, driven by a force greater than fear. He is not just a man older than me, he is my best friend, My mentor, my rock. When I look at him, I see not just age, but a rich life filled with experiences that I long to learn from. The stiff silence in the room hung thick, but an unexpected voice broke through. It was Mrs. Carter, a neighbor Emma had known all her life. "Emma, don't you care what people think? You're still so young." Right there, Emma felt her courage teeter. But she remembered Jack's words, "How love doesn't ask permission." "I do care, but I care more about being happy and finding my own path," she replied, her voice steadier now. "We all have the right to love whoever we choose. Isn't that what life is about?" As she gazed into the faces around her, there was a shift. Some residents shifted uncomfortably in their seats, while others met her gaze with lingering uncertainty. Emma could see a few wary expressions begin to soften. Perhaps, just perhaps, she was breaking down some barriers. But then her father stood, leaning heavily on the back of the chair in front of him, a frown etched deep into his aged face. "You think you know what love is, Emma?" he challenged, eyes narrowing. "You're blinded by your own desires." That hit her like a thunderbolt. Her throat tightened, emotions bubbling to the surface. "Dad, it's not just desire. It's love. You taught me to chase what makes me feel alive. Jack makes me feel alive." A hush fell once more as the weight of her words hung in the air. She could almost hear the creaking of their skepticism as they considered her plea, as if the walls themselves leaned in to listen. "I refuse to let this town dictate my happiness," she continued, voice rising with determination. "I want to face the challenges of life with the person who sees me for who I truly am." Emma's heart raced as she spoke, the room charged with a new tension. Some eyes glistened with unshed tears, while others remained narrowed, cloaked in judgment. But she knew she had done something important. She had planted a seed of hope, and as the meeting adjourned, Emma felt both fear and exhilaration. Would they accept her truth? Would her father ever come to terms with her choice, let alone the judgment that had surrounded her like a storm? She walked out into the crisp night air, the stars shimmering above like a promise. In her heart, the hope for a tomorrow filled with acceptance flickered like the stars. Yet, Jack's silent battle was still waiting back home, a separate storm that loomed over her heart. Would he be able to fight through his own darkness when he needed all the light he could get? What if she couldn't be the strength he needed? The night felt heavy with uncertainty, and as she turned to head home, Emma realized the journey had only just begun, both for her love with Jack and the fight ahead for acceptance. Would her voice be enough to create the change she longed for? Emma stepped into her home, the familiar sense of cedar and baking bread weaving a comforting web around her. Yet, tranquility seemed to mock her. Her heart was still racing from the democratic battlefield she had just left. It was as though the shadows of doubt whispered into her ears, taunting her with the potential fallout of her bold stand. Jack was sitting at the kitchen table, an untouched mug of coffee cooling by his side. The weight of his expression was heavy. It always was when he sensed something was wrong. He looked up, his eyes searching for hers. The lines on his face deepened, an indication of concern mixed with pride. In that moment, it felt like he could read the tempest brewing inside her. "Emma? You okay?" His voice was soft but steady, like a calm harbor amidst a stormy sea. She wanted to tell him everything that charged through her heart, the thoughts that tangled and twisted into something almost suffocating. But the words slipped away, tangled in her throat. Instead, she sank into the chair across from him, studying the way the shadows danced across his face. "I spoke at the meeting," she finally blurted out, her heart pounding at the admission. Jack's eyebrows furrowed slightly, as if he were piecing together a puzzle. "And? How did it go?" She exhaled sharply. "It was rough. Some people listened, some didn't. But I think I got through to a few. I tried to share what you taught me about love and happiness." Jack leaned forward, locking his gaze onto hers. "I'm proud of you, Emma. You stood up for what you believe in." The corners of her mouth tried to lift, but the weight in her chest made it feel like a chore. "But it wasn't enough. My dad doesn't see it the way I do. He thinks I'm just being reckless." His expression softened, understanding unspoken in the air between them. "You took the first step. That's important. Change doesn't happen overnight. But what if he never sees it? What if everyone in town never sees it? Emma felt tears welling up, and she wiped them away, too overwhelmed to look vulnerable. Then we keep fighting. Jack's voice was firm. Love isn't always about the world approving. It's about you and me standing together. Their eyes locked, the intensity of the moment igniting something profound within her. Jack's steadfast presence felt like a safe harbor. But just as quickly as the warmth enveloped her, doubt crept back in. She couldn't shake the feeling that this battle was about more than just her love for him. It was deeper than that, like all the unpolished facets of their lives fighting to shine through societal norms. As they sat in the quiet, a slow realization broke over Emma. Jack had his own struggles, unvoiced worries that were a shade darker than the town's judgments. She needed to focus not just on her own journey, but on understanding his. Jack, how are you feeling about all this? She asked quietly, her heart racing at the potential unsettlement in his eyes. He hesitated, the shadows around him suddenly feeling heavier. It's hard, Emma. I wish I could be what everyone wants me to be. Sometimes I feel alone in this fight. Their connection deepened, and in that moment, Emma knew she had to climb another mountain this night. One of understanding, not just for her battle, but for his unspoken struggles too. They were partners in every sense. His light needed her to fight as hard for him as she did for herself. As they faced each other, the tension in the kitchen grew thick, palpable. Neither was prepared for where this conversation might lead. Would their love be enough to illuminate the darkness they didn't fully understand? Emma's heart raced at the thought of diving deeper into the storm they hadn't yet confronted. What awaited them on the other side? Emma's heart thudded in her chest, a drumbeat echoing the uncertainty swirling in the air. This wasn't just about her. It was about them, their love, and the world that didn't always understand. She wanted to bridge the gap between their struggles, to see the weight he carried, but how could she reach him when she was still figuring out her own path? Jack, she began, her voice trembling slightly, I know this isn't just about me standing up. You have your own fight. I want to understand. He leaned back, considering her words. It was like watching the tide pull back, revealing the rough rocks beneath. It's just complex. Complex how? She pressed gently, hoping to coax out what lay beneath that calm exterior. He took a deep breath, running a hand through his hair. You know my past, Emma. The mess and the judgment. I worry that people are always going to see me as that guy. The one who's too old, too different. Jack, I see you, she insisted. Not your age or what people think. I see you, this amazing person who fights for what he loves. He opened his mouth to respond, but instead, he cast his gaze down at the table, fingers tapping against the worn wood. Silence thickened between them, stretching out like a long road ahead. Emma could feel the heaviness of his emotions, like clouds thickening before a storm. Sometimes I feel like I have to choose between fitting in and being with you, he confessed finally, his voice barely above a whisper. I see your dad's face, the way everyone in town looks at us. I don't want to be a burden, Em. You're not a burden. You're my partner, she said, her voice rising with passion. I want to share this fight with you. It's not easy, but love is worth it. We don't have to do this alone. Jack raised his eyes to meet hers, vulnerability shining through the cracks of his doubt. You really think that? Absolutely. She reached across the table, placing her hand on his. The warmth of her touch sent a small spark through the shadows. You bring so much to my life. I've grown because of you. Part of me hopes you can see that too. A flicker of a smile broke through his stormy expression. You make it sound so simple. Love is simple, Jack. It's the world that complicates it. Emma squeezed his hand tighter, a silent promise that they would navigate these turbulent waters together. For a moment, the world outside faded away. All that mattered was their connection, the strength in their fingertips, the hope sparking in their eyes. Yet, even in that stillness, Emma felt the tension lurking at the edges of their conversation. Do you think we should talk to my dad? She asked, the question hanging heavily in the air. Jack's brow furrowed, the flicker of fear pulsing between them. You really think he'll understand? I don't know, but avoiding it won't help us. The uncertainty darkened her voice, But Emma knew deep down that they had to confront her father. Their love needed to be more than a secret. It deserved a place in the open. As she sat there, tracing the lines of Jack's palm with her fingers, a thought surged through her. What if her father's reaction would be the defining moment of their journey? A part of her trembled at the idea. What if their relationship was tested beyond what they could handle? The clock ticked softly in the background, a constant reminder that time was slipping away. "Let us take it one step at a time," she suggested, her voice steadying. "We can face it together. Whatever happens, we'll face it together." Jack nodded, but the worry never fully left his eyes. Emma wondered what fear flickered behind those beautiful gaze. She took a deep breath, ready to confront the uncertainties together. The kitchen felt alive with an energy she couldn't quite name, pushing them closer to the precipice of change. What would her father say? Would their love withstand the trials ahead? Emma's heart raced with the promise of the unknown, but deep inside, a spark of hope flickered. She knew they had to fight not just for their love, but for the future they dreamed of. As they sat together, hands entwined, Emma thought of the townsfolk, the meeting, her father. Would they embrace them, or would they tear them apart? She stared into Jack's eyes, courage boiling within her. "What if this is only the beginning?" she said quietly, her heart whispering the truth. He frowned, confusion and concern mixing in his expression. "What do you mean?" "Maybe the real fight is just starting, and it's not just between us and the world. It's a fight for understanding, acceptance, and finding a way forward no matter the obstacles." Jack's gaze grew intense, and for a moment, it felt as if the very air crackled with possibility. Would they grow stronger together or shatter under pressure? They locked eyes, an unspoken agreement swirling around them. Whatever lay ahead, they'd meet it together. But the question remained, clear and sharp. Were they ready for the reckoning that was coming? Emma felt the anticipation swell within her, and she knew they were standing at the edge of something monumental. Would they leap into the unknown, or hold back out of fear? The following morning, Emma's nerves twisted like vines as she prepared for the day ahead. She stood in front of the mirror, brushing her hair, but her mind was elsewhere. The weight of the conversation with Jack lingered, unfurling fears and dreams in equal measure. Would her dad really be able to hear them? The thought of donning her armor to confront him felt like a battle she wasn't sure she was prepared for. Downstairs, the smell of pancakes filled the kitchen, grounding her. Her mom was humming softly to herself, lost in the rhythm of flipping pancakes. Emma couldn't help but smile at the familiar scene, yet a gnawing uncertainty tugged at her heart. "Hey, Mom," she called, trying to inject some normalcy into her brewing storm. "Emma, want some pancakes?" Her mom replied, her smile brightening the room. "Yeah, thanks." Sitting down at the table, Emma's palms felt clammy against the cool surface. Her mom slid a plate in front of her, and the golden pancakes looked beautiful, but she had no appetite. "Everything okay, honey?" her mom asked, concern flickering in her gaze. Emma hesitated, thoughts racing. Could she confide in her? Would it just complicate things? Beyond the kitchen, the rest of the world seemed to hold its breath, waiting for her to make a choice. "Yeah, just thinking about school, you know how it is," she replied, forcing a smile. But her mom, always perceptive, narrowed her eyes slightly. Emma's heart sank. She hated keeping secrets, especially from the one person who raised her to believe in honesty. As the first bites of food met her lips, her phone buzzed on the table. It was a message from Jack. "Are we still on for later?" Just seeing his name made her pulse quicken, and for a fleeting moment, the wonder of their love banished the unease swirling inside her. "Still thinking about that boy?" her mom teased lightly, as if reading her mind. Emma dropped her fork, the clatter breaking the moment. "Mom, it's not just a crush." "Okay," her mom said gently, realizing the seriousness behind Emma's tone. "What is it then?" With a deep breath, Emma found the courage to continue. "Jack and we want to talk to Dad about our relationship. About us." The admission hung in the air like an uninvited guest. Her mother's expression shifted, and Emma could see the gears turning in her mind. "Oh wow," she said softly. "And you're sure you're ready for that?" "Ready or not, we have to do it." It's just I'm scared, Emma admitted, her voice breaking slightly. What if Dad doesn't understand? What if he gets angry? Her mom took a moment, her eyes softening. Honey, love isn't about what others believe. It's about what you feel. But you will need to weather the storm that comes with it. The truth in her mother's words anchored Emma momentarily. You think he'll be okay with it? I think he will love you, no matter what. That doesn't mean it will be easy. He might have questions, concerns. Emma nodded, the weight of each word sinking in. They hadn't just made a decision to confront her father. They were embarking on a journey that might change everything. Do you think you could support us? Emma ventured, her hope flickering. Of course I will. Just give him time. With a soft smile, her mom returned to the stove, flipping another pancake and humming. Emma inhaled deeply, a sense of gratitude and trepidation mixing in her chest. The rest of the afternoon felt like walking on a tightrope, poised above uncertainty. When the time came for her to meet Jack, her stomach churned with both fear and excitement. As she waited, she thought about the conversations they would have, the stories they would share, and the battles they would fight together. Jack arrived, looking both anxious and determined. He took her hands, searching her eyes. Ready? Emma held his gaze, feeling the strength of their connection. Together, she affirmed. As they stepped out, the town felt different. The streets buzzed with life, but their mission felt monumental, as if they were carrying the weight of their love on their shoulders. As they approached her house, Emma's heart beat wildly. Each thud a reminder of what was at stake. Were they really ready for this moment? Just before they walked through the door, Jack squeezed her hand tightly. No matter what happens, I'm with you. Me too. The words slipped from her lips, steadying her resolve. But as they entered her home, uncertainty crept back in. Emma could feel the air thickening, the anxiety coiling again. Would they find acceptance or face rejection? The echoes of their footsteps seemed to resonate with the fears and hopes of a young woman stepping into an unknown that demanded everything from her. Emma took a breath, ready to face her father, the judgment, and the love that dared to shine amidst it all. What would they find waiting for them beyond that door? The door swung open, revealing the familiar warmth of her living room, infused with the aroma of cookies baking in the oven. Emma felt a rush of nostalgia, memories flooding in. She glanced at Jack, whose eyes flickered with nervous anticipation. They exchanged a silent reassurance, a promise of unity in whatever was about to transpire. Hey, Emma. You're back early. Her little brother, Max, exclaimed from the couch, engrossed in a video game. He barely glanced up but offered a quick smile. Did you bring Jack? Yeah. We're here to see Dad, Emma said, trying to keep her voice steady. Jack squeezed her hand, reminding her of their purpose. Dad's in his study, Max replied, turning his concentration back to the screen. Emma felt every heartbeat echo as she and Jack made their way toward the study, the old wooden floor creaking underfoot. When they reached the doorway, Emma hesitated, her stomach twisting like a roller coaster. What if he freaks out? She whispered, glancing at Jack. Then we figure it out, Jack said softly, a courageous smile breaking through his own anxiety. His faith fueled Emma's resolve, even if just a little. Together, she whispered back, and he nodded. With a deep breath, Emma knocked gently. Dad? Come in, her father's voice boomed from the other side. They stepped inside, and Emma's heart raced. Her dad was seated at his desk, papers and an open book spread around him. His glasses sat low on his nose, and he looked up, surprised to see them. Emma. Jack. What's up? Hey, Dad, Emma replied, her voice barely above a whisper. She felt Jack's presence beside her, a steady anchor as she braced herself for the conversation ahead. Her father smiled, but the warmth in his eyes shifted when he noticed their intertwined hands. The air thickened, filled with unspoken questions. You guys look serious. Everything okay? Emma glanced at Jack. He nodded, encouraging her to speak. Dad, there's something we need to talk to you about. Sure, what's on your mind? He set aside his papers, leaning forward slightly, acknowledging the gravity in her tone. Emma's voice trembled. Jack and I we're together. Like, really together. It felt like a boulder had rolled off her chest, yet the tension only escalated. Her father paused. What do you mean? His brows furrowed, concern flickering across his face. Dad, we love each other, Emma continued, feeling Jack's grip tighten around her hand as if sensing her fear. We want to be open with you because you're important to us. A silence fell, heavy like a blanket. Emma held her breath, every moment stretching like eternity. Her dad rubbed his chin, his expression unreadable, and that did nothing to calm the storm inside her. Emma, he started, his voice slow. How long has this been going on? It's been a while since last summer, Emma admitted, her heart racing at the thought of his reaction. I know it might be surprising, but Jack makes me happy. You know him, Dad? He has always been there for me. The tension was palpable. Emma, he's older than you. He's your teacher, he said, struggling to mask his concern. Dad, age doesn't matter to me, Emma pleaded, desperation creeping into her voice. We care for each other in a way I can't explain. I didn't teach you this, it just happened. Her father's gaze softened for a moment, but his worry lingered. What about your future? What do you see? I see a life where I'm free to love who I love. With Jack, I feel seen, I feel valued. Please, just try to understand. Emma's words flowed out like a dam breaking. Tears pricked the corners of her eyes, but she stood resolutely. I don't want to hide who I am. The room fell quiet again, and Jack stood tall by her side, a silent pillar offering strength. Emma's heart skipped a beat as she watched her dad process this new reality. I just want you to be safe and happy, he finally said, his voice trembling with an unexpected mix of parental instinct and concern. But this is a lot to take in. What she didn't expect, Jack added, desperation in his tone, is for her dad to understand. Maybe in time Emma looked back at her father, feeling a glimmer of hope. Can we start from here? Give it a chance? That question lingered, resting heavily in the air, as they awaited her father's response. Would he accept the love Emma held so dear, or would his fears pull them apart? Suddenly, the weight of the silence left them teetering on the edge of an unknown future. Emma swallowed hard, needing to know what would be free or what would remain trapped within their hearts. What answers would her father choose? Would love find a way? For what felt like an eternity, her father simply stared at them, his brow furrowed in thought. The clock ticking on the wall seemed to grow louder, each second echoing their apprehension. Emma's heartbeat rang in her ears, drowning out her former confidence. Jack squeezed her hand tighter, grounding her in the moment. Emma, her father finally spoke, his voice low and measured. I don't want to dismiss your feelings. You know I love you. But this is complicated. You're still so young. I know, Emma replied, her voice trembling but defiant. But it's my life, Dad. It's my heart. Don't you remember what it was like to be young, to feel like you had to hide part of yourself? Her father sighed, running a hand through his hair. I just want to protect you. All I see are the risks you and Jack will face judgment from others, and I can't bear the thought of you getting hurt. A flash of anger sparked in Emma's chest. But isn't my happiness more important? I feel safe with him. With Jack, I can be myself. I don't want you to protect me from love. His expression softened momentarily, and Emma dared to hope. Love is a beautiful thing, yes, but can it withstand the challenges ahead? You're talking about more than just a crush, Emma. This is serious. Can't you give us a chance? Jack spoke up for the first time, his voice steady but laced with emotion. I care for Emma more than anything. I promise to treat her right, to be there for her. She means the world to me. The sincerity in his words resonated, filling the space with a shared determination. A flicker of uncertainty crossed her father's face before he stood, pacing the room. He had always been a man of reason, believing in structure and order. Change didn't come easy. Emma's stomach twisted. She feared repetition of her mother's reaction months ago when she had revealed her burgeoning feelings for Jack. What do we do now? Her father finally asked, halting as he looked at them both, trying to gauge their resolve. I want to be honest, Emma stated firmly, her nerves sparking into resolve. If we can't be open about our relationship, what kind of foundation do we have? If my heart could speak, it would tell you how much this means to me. Please let me show you. Her father crossed his arms, shadows of worry still etched on his face. You know your mother if she were here, Emma interrupted gently. But she's not. This is our moment, Dad. I'm showing you who I am. I'm not asking for your approval. I'm asking for your respect. The rawness of her words hung in the air. All those years of hiding pieces of herself felt like chains breaking free. Jack stepped closer, a hand resting on the small of Emma's back, supporting her. After a long pause, her father finally spoke, his voice cracking with vulnerability. It's okay to have fears, Emma. I fear losing you. I want to trust this. I want to support you, but it's hard for me. Just give me some time. Julia's heart sank and soared simultaneously. Time is all I want, she replied softly, a tremor of emotion rushing through her. Please. Just promise to try. Her father nodded slowly, the weight of understanding and acceptance flickering in his eyes. Okay, let us take it one step at a time. Relief flooded over Emma like a warm tide, as tears threatened to spill over. Jack's smile mirrored her own, reassurance blossoming in the uneasy air. Just as Emma dared to hope this moment would lead to something solid, a loud crash echoed from the living room, followed by Max's startled voice. Oops. I dropped the controller. Emma exchanged a glance with Jack, a shared moment of humor amidst the heavy revelations. Well, at least he's still more clumsy than I am, Emma joked, wiping away a tear. Let us go see what kind of chaos he's created, Jack suggested with a grin, lightening the moment. As they stepped back into the room, Emma's heart swelled with a mix of joy and uncertainty. They were together, standing firm against the tide. But the intimacy of their previous conversation lingered like a butterfly in her chest, reminding them all that the real journey had just begun. Adjustments needed to be made. Acceptance was not instant, and as they faced the judgments that lay ahead, Emma wondered what challenges awaited. Would their love be enough to weather the storm? Would her father's words become a guiding light or a roadblock in their journey? Emma stepped into the living room, where the chaos Max had created sprawled across the floor. The game console lay half disassembled, wires tangled like a nest of snakes. Max's wide-eyed expression mirrored both awe and regret. I can fix it, he stammered, glancing between his sister and Jack, a sheepish grin breaking through his earlier shock. Emma couldn't help but laugh, the tension in her chest easing just a bit. Just maybe don't fix anything until we make sure you know how, okay? She nudged Jack, and together they crouched to help Max with his newfound project. With every playful quip and shared smile, the earlier weight of the conversation began to lift, yet fragments of Emma's resolve still hovered in the air. Jack's soft chuckle brought her eyes back to him. Your brother's artistry and destruction is unmatched. If only he could channel this energy into homework. The warmth in his tone made Emma's heart flutter, reminding her of their bond, the mix of humor and unity that felt impenetrable. Just then, the door creaked open, and Emma's father stepped in, the remnants of their earlier conversation etched on his face. He paused, uncertainty flickering in his eyes as he surveyed the scene. Max's scrambling with the precariously placed controller, the hints of laughter, the gentle teasing between Emma and Jack. Was this what family looked like? Slowly, he approached, curiosity overcoming reservation. Need an extra pair of hands? He offered, his tone tentative. Emma exchanged a knowing look with Jack, surprise laced with hope sparking in her chest. Maybe this was a step forward, a moment where the lines of understanding began to blur. Only if you want the chance to blame Max for any disasters, Emma replied playfully. As her father knelt beside them, she saw flashes of the parent she had known before life had thrown in complications and fears. A spark of lightness punctured the heavy atmosphere. As they worked together, a reluctant bond formed like the delicate web of a spider, a mix of trust and hesitation, formed from fibers of love and protection. Emma could feel the shifts happening, each new sentence building bridges over the gaps that had long laid between them. Jack caught her eye, his gaze unreadable yet filled with something profound. Emma held on to that glance, grounding herself in the reality that they were reaching, grasping for acceptance together. Could this delicate progression be the foundation for what lay ahead? Their laughter bounced off the walls, creating a mosaic of memories that felt strangely normal. And for a moment, it seemed the past could be forgiven, and they were one unit, weaving together in imperfect harmony. But just as Emma relaxes, the phone rang, breaking the newfound peace. Her father moved to answer, and the minute she saw his expression falter, dread pooled in her stomach. Someone's voice, tense and serious, filtered through the line. She could catch only snippets: judgment, concern, and Emma. Jack noticed her shift, and instinctively, he reached for her hand. In that pulse of connection, Emma feared the world outside would shatter their fragile moment. What storm was brewing beyond their walls? Would the acceptance they had fought for be enough to withstand the looming uncertainty? Her father hung up, his face a canvas of concern. "There's something we need to talk about," he said, his voice heavy with weight. Emma's heart raced. Just when she thought they were making progress, it felt as if the ground beneath them had shifted again. "What is it?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Jack's grip on her hand tightened, his presence reassuring. But even that couldn't quell the anxiety uncoiling within her. A new challenge was at the doorstep, and she could only wonder what it would mean for their fragile beginning. Did this mean judgment was coming closer? Would they still be able to face it together, hand in hand? Emma took a breath, every sense alert, ready to confront whatever was to follow. One thing was clear this time: they would fight for their love and for every piece of their future. As her father prepared to share the news, a flutter of fear and anticipation crashed over her. Emma knew she had to stay strong. Would this be the test that either solidified their bond or pulled them apart? Emma held her breath, feeling the weight of silence wrap around them like a heavy blanket. Her father was staring at the floor, his hands fidgeting in his pockets. Max's face had lost its earlier brightness, replaced with confusion and concern. Jack squeezed Emma's hand, a steady anchor in the storm that was brewing in the living room. "Emma," her father finally began, his voice cracking slightly. "There's been some talk concerns regarding your relationship with Jack." A knot twisted in Emma's stomach. The words felt like thorns against her heart. "What kind of concerns?" she asked, forcing herself to maintain eye contact, to not let the creeping anxiety show. They think you might be too young to understand what you're getting into," he said carefully, as if walking on eggshells. "That it could hurt you both in the long run." Too young. There it was. The phrase that had burrowed itself into her mind from the moment their relationship began. She felt that familiar fire in her chest, both protective and defiant. "But you don't understand, Dad. We love each other. That's all that matters." Max shifted beside her, sensing the tension filling the air. "Yeah? Why do they care about that? It's not like they have to deal with it." His innocent proclamation brought a flicker of warmth to Emma's heart, reminding her of the strength she could draw from her family. Her father sighed, combing a hand through his hair. "I know you feel that way. I just want to make sure you're ready for the world outside this home. There are judges we can't avoid." Jack shifted closer to Emma, his expression tough yet tender. "I'll always protect her. You have to trust me," he said, his gaze unwavering despite the uncomfortable atmosphere. Emma could feel the heat radiating from him, a shield against the judgment lurking. "Trust is what I want," her father replied, his voice dipping almost to a whisper. "But so much is at stake here. I can't just stand by and let you face this alone." Emma felt her heart swell with anger and love all at once. "I'm not alone. I have Jack and I have Max. We can handle whatever comes together." Her voice wavered, but she couldn't back down. They had fought for this, for the connection they shared, and she wasn't going to let anyone tear that apart. The silence stretched again, heavy yet filled with unspoken understanding. Max was wide-eyed, taking in the exchange like a child watching a snowstorm through a window. "Maybe we can talk to them," Jack suggested, a glimmer of hope in his voice. "Make them see how serious we are, how solid this is." He looked directly at Emma, urging her to believe that there was a solution, something they could do. Emma blinked, uncertainty swirling with the resolve. What if talking 1T changed their minds? What if we're still judged no matter what? Her father stepped forward, an unexpected softness in his eyes. Small victories can build bigger bridges. It might take time, but I believe in you, Emma. Let us approach this together. The idea of a united front sparked a flicker of hope inside her. Maybe they could face this as a family, with each bond holding them firm. As her father's hand rested on her shoulder, making her feel grounded, Emma exhaled deeply. Okay, we'll talk. But I want to let them take my happiness from me. For the first time, she felt a shift, a real connection forming between all of them, a chance to face the storm side by side, stronger than the judgment that loomed outside. Jack's hand remained in hers, reminding her that love was a fortress, one they would build together. But just as the tension began to ease, Emma's phone buzzed on the table, making her jump. Without checking the screen, she felt a jolt of dread. Was it another warning? Another judgment? As she reached for it, the knot in her stomach tightened once more. What news awaited her? Would it set the night ablaze or offer a lifeline? With a sense of urgency, she raised the phone to her ear, heart racing. What was about to be revealed could shatter their hopes or perhaps cement their fight for love. As Emma answered the phone, her heartbeat echoed a frantic rhythm. "Hello?" she said, her throat tight with anticipation. The voice on the other end felt familiar, yet strained, and she couldn't quite place it. "Emma, it's Clara from the town council." A chill crept down her spine. Clara's tone was serious, and Emma braced herself. "Look, there's been a lot of chatter about your relationship with Jack. People are concerned, and I think you need to be aware that there might be a meeting to discuss this further." Emma clenched the phone. "A meeting? About us?" "Yeah. They feel it's important to address the matter before it escalates. I don't want you to feel targeted. Just come prepared." "Thank you for the heads up," Emma managed to say before hanging up, the weight of reality crashing onto her like a tidal wave. She felt her father's presence, grounding but also teetering on the edge of worry. Would this meeting be another venue for judgment, or could it lead to understanding? "What was that about?" her father asked, concern etched into his features. Emma took a deep breath, glancing at Jack, who looked intently back at her. He had that same fiery determination she admired. With warmth wrapping around her heart, she knew they stood together, ready for whatever storm loomed ahead. "Clara said there's a meeting about us. They want to discuss our relationship." Jack kept his grip firm on her hand. "We can attend together. Let them see us, let them understand. We won't hide." Together, Emma echoed, feeling a surge of resolve. "But if we're going to do this, we have to be prepared for everyone's reactions, including the ones we might not want to hear." Max, who had been silently absorbing the gravity of their conversation, piped in. "You're better than them. Just tell them the truth. Love is love." His bright eyes sparkled with innocent conviction, providing a strange comfort. "Exactly. It's time to show them what we truly have," Jack said, his voice steady. Emma felt the edges of doubt soften. Here, within the walls of her family, was strength, a kindness fueling the fire of courage within her. "Okay, let's plan," she said, turning to her father. "I need your support. And I need you to help me prepare Dad. This is going to be difficult." He nodded slowly, the lines of concern still etched on his face, but the tone of acceptance simmered beneath them. "I can help you find the right words. But Emma, remember, people don't change overnight." "I understand," Emma replied, wiping the tears that had threatened to spill. "But if we don't stand up for ourselves, we give them power over us. And I refuse to live in the shadows of judgment anymore." As the evening unfolded, they mapped out what they would say, practicing together, throwing out lines that could express their truth while facing up to societal norms. The more they aligned, the more confident Emma felt. This was her family standing with her. She could practically feel their love forming a barrier against negativity. The day of the town meeting arrived with the sun rising over the fields, casting golden light onto the path that led to her destiny. Emma stood in front of the mirror, taking a moment to appreciate the reflection staring back at her. She was stronger than before, more determined. "Ready?" Jack asked, his voice gentle yet filled with purpose. "Ready," Emma replied with steady resolve. She had a purpose. She had hope. With their hands clasped, they stepped into the town hall, hearts racing, pulses quickening, a heartbeat of love against the world. The room was buzzing with chatter, filled with the curious and the concerned. Familiar faces turned as they entered, and the murmurs faded into a palpable tension, as if the whole town had held its breath. Emma stepped forward, her heart hammering in her chest, when her father stood beside her and opened his mouth to speak. A hush descended like a soft blanket. "I want to say something," he declared, his voice resonating through the hall. "Emma is my daughter, and I love her. I may not understand everything about her choices, but I'm willing to listen. To learn." The collective surprise was tangible. People shifted in their seats, skepticism battling against a seed of acceptance birthing in corners of the room. With newfound courage flowing through her veins, Emma took her turn, speaking with clarity and strength. "I know my relationship with Jack may not be what you expected, but I hope you will try to see love for what it is: powerful, life-changing, and universal. I won't let fear chase me away from happiness." And as Emma spoke her truth, she could see the softening of familiar faces. Doubts began to lift like fog, revealing glimpses of understanding. When it was Jack's turn to speak, the crowd was silent. "Emma makes me incredibly proud. I believe that love knows no age, no bounds, it just exists, pure and true. And I will fight every day for our right to be together. We all deserve to feel loved." The room broke into murmurs, uncertainty flickering among faces a moment longer. The acceptance hung like ripe fruit, waiting to be plucked. But then, from the back, a familiar voice pierced the air. It was Mrs. Carter. "But what about the future? What would you do when you're older, Jack? How will you care for her? How do you measure a love like this?" Emma stepped forward, her voice unwavering. "By age or possibility. Love doesn't age. It grows, evolves, and becomes something far greater than ourselves." As the words settled around them, a transformation began. Faces that once bore marks of judgment now reflected contemplation, and in that moment, in front of neighbors and town critics, Emma didn't just see acceptance, she saw opportunity. Together, they could change old patterns and create a new narrative. With Jack's hand in hers, she felt stronger. The meeting continued, the air thick with a delicate resilience. Through their stories and truths, Emma and Jack participated in an exchange unlike any other, slowly planting seeds of understanding. As they prepared to exit, Emma caught her dad's eye, and he nodded, a glimmer of recognition sparking between them. They were treading the same path toward acceptance and connection. In the days that followed, stories of their courage began to ripple through town. Slowly, hearts transformed, and acceptance found its way into familiar circles. Emma and Jack led the way as love became the foundation, shattering the chains of fear binding their paths together. As Emma stood in the golden fields, a vibrant sunrise heralding a new beginning, she knew they still had a long way to go. The journey ahead would require resilience, acceptance, and unity. They had each other, and that, she realized, made every hurdle worth crossing. As she basked in the warm light, she turned to Jack, her heart full. "Together, forever," she whispered. "Absolutely," he replied, eyes gleaming with unwavering love, and in that moment, the whole world seemed right. Now is your moment. You need to subscribe now to the channel for more heartwarming stories and journeys like this one. Leave a like to fuel the algorithm and spread this message of love. Do you feel inspired? Comment below with your thoughts and emotions about this finale. And don't wait, share this video with at least 5 friends who need to hear this powerful story of acceptance and love. Let us change hearts together.